Sangye che dong zo ye jo nam lai chang jo par do da ne gyab so ye chi da ge chi she ge be su nam do la pin je ra sang je do pa re sho sangye che dong zo ye jo nam la chang jo par do da ne gyab so da ge chi she ge be su nam Pinjira sangye do bare sho sangye che dang tsok che cho nam lai chang cho par do ya da ne kyo so da ge chi she ge be se nam che do la pinjira sangye do bare sho Zemje damje dewa dang dewe gyo dang dembra churje dunga dang dunga ge gyo dang tawara dunga mebe dewa damba dang minda joje nyereng chao dang Tang nyum jembo la nebra chura che semje tamche dewa dang dewe gyo dang dembra dunga dang dunga ge gyo dang tawa joje dunga la mebe dewa damba dang minda war Nyeren chao dang nye dang tawe tang nyum jembo la nebra chura che semje tamche dewa dang dewe gyo dang dembra Dunga dang dunga ge jo dang tawa joje dunga mebe dewa damba dang mindal war Nyereng chao dang nye dang tawe dang nyo jembo la nebra chura che pal din tsawe lama rinpo da ge che wa pe de den yo ne ka den jembo go ne je song ko song to je ngo do za to so Pangden dorje jangwa rikin chabdar lama Karmapa chengor kunje june siji panjor yedam dorje nanjor ma Chile kunje chopon chujong perje chamdar la nanjor kepa tsejen de dondal me tu ye kyung wara enze Kangchira tsenye gyalwe le to pinzo de sabe tangne perla chunda yuring Longchwe ne la memba to de jorwa de jira da ge tongma ningje te pare ji tangbo nga che da la shin jur shin da ken di shin ge la chak ji se chen chen da ra wang me ba ye ndo la ningje chur kan te la en du Kang la sem je tang ba rin chen de che ba ti ye ko la chak sa shi Kang la ne ba che chang den del we de wen jung ne te la kya so chi Good morning. Okay. Right. So we have completed first 4 or 5. I think first 5 points in the mind training teachings, Lojong, basically Lojong. Lojong is all about, bodhicitta. So the actual part in this book of the Lojong is the second point, which is training in both relative and ultimate bodhicitta. And we have been trying to really understand what is relative and ultimate bodhicitta and what is bodhicitta in general. And rest of this point or practices is practice that we do, based on bodhicittas, so to speak. For instance, like we had this part where it talks about, I think we are still going to go through that, the samaya part, the commitment, and the one that's coming up, which is 7th, is called discipline. These are all practices, that we try to involve bodhicitta in. If we are not able to involve bodhicitta in these practices, then they don't exactly become a lojong practice, okay? So we have to keep in mind that there are numbers, like, commitment-wise, I don't exactly remember Samaya. I think there are 18 or 18 types of Samaya he talks about. And in the discipline, there are 20-something, which I don't remember. But it doesn't matter. These, numbers don't really matter. What matter is that it means no matter what the situation is, good, bad, or ugly, this is really it. All the time, around the clock, I'm going to try to practice bodhicitta in all my life. Simply what we are really learning, so to speak, okay? All right? And now before we go into this, our text, I sort of realized that, most of these commitments and the discipline that we are going to, commitments, with Lojong. When we do Lojong practices, there are many commitments that we, need to accomplish. And of course, there are many disciplines that we need to keep. The heart of this practice, I noticed or I realized, is actually the practice of mainly the practice of patience from the 6 paramita. It is the paramita of the patience. But also it includes actually all of the 6 paramitas are included in this, mainly in these last 3 or 4 of them. Like, for example, turning all the adversities into the path. That is very much, the part of practice of the patience. And then this part where we talk about the Samaya is also, it is also about generosity, it is also about patience, it is also about diligence, like I said yesterday, and of course it is about concentration, wisdom. Meaning, these words may not really mention, like this is the practice of generosity, this is practice of discipline, this is practice of patience. The word may be not there, but meaning-wise, it is all about that, as you can see that. Like I said in the beginning that, first we really try to train our mind with bodhicitta or in bodhicitta. And when that bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta, takes place in my heart, then it is about time that I do practice. And those practices are the practice of generosity, practices of discipline, patience, diligence, concentration, and wisdom. So 6 perfections. So all of this, like this samaya, there are a number of samayas, 18 or something like I said. If you really look into that, some of them are, part of practice of generosity, some of them are part of practice of patience, and some part of concentration. Whenever I see mind training, mindfulness, this is connected with the meditation of the shamatha meditation, shine, or Karmapa meditation. And whenever we are told that, we need to work with our mind with insight, that is, of course, the Laktong part. So we can see that this teaching is about bodhicitta, not just about bodhicitta, but also it's all about the 6 perfections. And now, yes, regarding the patience, I thought I will speak a little bit more on that because I realize it will help us to have better understanding of what we will now go through, or also what we went through. From the 6 paramita, or perfection, the perfection of patience. There are 3 kinds. Developing patience toward enemy by ignoring their harm. This is first one. The second one is developing patience toward difficult situations in the Dharma practice by accepting them, by facing them. Second category of the paramita of the patience. The third one, practicing of the patience by analyzing the reality of the situation, reality of the mind, of the body, of the environment. So these three are the three kinds of patience. As we go through this, now I will explain, if I remember, more in detail. But in short, then, whether it is about turning all the adversities, meaning all the difficulties that we face when we practice Dharma, and we will face difficulties, and the way to turn them, as one's practice as path, is really, through the practice of the patience, right? So therefore, and we need wisdom, we need compassion, both. So here it's very interesting like I've been saying before, this patience, which is state of a mind, has these qualities of kindness, compassion, awareness, wisdom, right? This is why, we are able to experience patience. But if we lack these qualities like kindness, insight, mindfulness, then we will not be able to, let's say, practice patience. So therefore, this patience is, not only a single thing actually, or a single quality. Excuse me. It's very different from the way how we understand patience from our normal point of view. Normally, when we say patience, or it kind of means you have to bear it, right? The bearing. And this bearing is, we don't bear it with wisdom or compassion or kindness. We bear it with anger, actually, because you have no option. You have to bear it or forbear it. So that is not what the patience means here. In my understanding, there actually is a joy within that patience. This is the reason why one can go through, these very difficult situations. Without that joy, this actually is not a possibility. Joy in the practice. Again, it's not this Vajrayana stuff joy, okay? Not like very fancy things, joy up in the space. These things doesn't exist. Please don't think like that. But here it's really connected with renunciation, with kindness, with compassion. Mainly, I think, really with the wisdom. So there is this inner joy of the accomplishment of the Dharma practice. When you accomplish, a little Dharma practice, then there is a great joy, that joy actually. And so that becomes the foundation for not losing our mind, not losing our aspiration in the Dharma, not mind but aspiration. It didn't sound very good. Probably you could lose also your mind, but we need, when we have a very true understanding of what Dharma really means to you, what Dharma really means to others, when we have a very true understanding and a feel of that in our mind, then we have this ground. We have this ground upon which we can build this patience, okay? Patience that will help us to go through on our journey to the enlightenment. It's a journey, as we can know that. And on this journey, we are going to face a lot of ups and downs. The one that can really help us to go through that is really our own. First of all, it is my own devotion, without any doubt. Secondly, then all these qualities that I mentioned, renunciation, wisdom, all that. So, and this quality of the mind, brings about the patience in. Patience is a result, correct? It's not a thing, it's a result. This ability in us to, practice the Buddha Dharma regardless of the situation. All right? So now we will, tomorrow is the last day, am I right? Yes. Okay. So now we have, I must, oops. All right. So, like I have mentioned several times before that, these verses of the Lojong verses, there are different numbers actually. With the Lojong verse, with the Lojong slogan, we can say the verses. So here I realized yesterday that, okay, one Lojong verse I didn't actually find. Anyway, so let's see. Yes, yesterday so this is the 6th point, correct? 6th point from the 7th point. And we start at this verse that says, abandon poisonous food. Right. Before that, there is another verse actually, which is not in this, but it's not in English, but I think it was in Tibetan. Let me check. No, actually no. Anyway, it's okay. Now I'm reading, from here and then explain. Helping others is not based on returning favor. I see. Right. It's reversed. Oops. Okay. Yes. So this, particular line is, connected with the practice of generosity, if I understand it correctly. what it actually is saying that when we practice generosity, then we should really not at all, expect anything in return for that. So there are two kinds actually, meaning expectation-wise, there are two expectations, at least according to the Tibetan language, we have two expectations. One expectation is, it's little bit like what we say in English, if I understand it correctly. Like we say, it's actually the idea of favor. You do favor, and this favor actually meaning that you need to do something in return for that. So it's like, I scratch your back and you scratch my back, that kind of idea. So here, when it says this, two things, that of course does not come under the category of generosity at all. When I help someone, and like the idea is what is, okay, it's like, give and take, like this notion we have, give and take. I give you something, but in return I take something back. So that actually is not, here is saying that this is not the right way, right generosity or practice generosity at all. It's not about whether it is good or not. But as a Dharma practitioner, especially as a Lojong, when we say Lojong practitioner, it means someone who is training in bodhicitta, right? Then this kind of attitude really is something that we need to, overcome, we need to deal with, so therefore this is the first one. The second really is about generosity itself. This is from karma point of view. The second, here category of this where it says, that one should not, have any expectations for the result. This is from karma point of view, like when karma or generosity point of view. When I help sentient beings, when I benefit sentient beings, I simply benefit, that's it. I'm not looking for a result. I'm not looking for something to gain out of that, correct? This is what it meant. Most of the time, probably that's not the case. We probably are looking, to gain something in return for that. So this then does not become the true practice of generosity or true practice of also bodhicitta. So yes, so the advice is that, when we help someone, you just help out of the goodness of your heart without, any hope or expectations in general. So very simple, very straightforward, but also without any expectations. And it is true that we don't always expect something actually. I guess in certain situations, there may be some expectations, but a lot of time we just simply help. There is no expectation, of any kind. So it's just saying that is very good attitude, no expectations. Because it doesn't really matter whether we expect or do not expect as far as the result is concerned. From the karma point of view, we are going to get something in return. So it doesn't matter whether I expect or don't expect. It's not up to my expectation, That's how karma works. So we don't really need to worry about the result. A result will be there because that is very much the course or nature of karma, law of karma, We always will have that result. All right, so moving on. But I think, that when we do things without expectation, the joy in you is very pure, right? Actually, it's really, there's a good joy. But when you do that with expectations, then probably there is not much of a joy. So because of the purity, when it is not pure, then there's no joy. But when it's very pure, it is pure because, it was selfless. And when expectation kicked in, then there was clinging, there was an attachment. Due to that ruined, destroyed the bliss, the joy in it. So, right. Yes, so number now. This is Samaya, right? So Samaya and number 8, now number 9. Oops, it's actually opposite in me. Yeah, okay. Do not expose the faults of others to irritate them. Do not expose the faults of others to irritate them. Wow, it's very different what I have in these two books and what it says here. I think some are missing. Anyways, okay. So this is very straightforward, actually. I mean, it is as it says here. It just simply means don't expose faults of others to irritate them. But something is missing in here. Right. The one that I find in other books and also one that is in here, it's slightly different, so I'm going to explain that. So it says that one should not, mainly it is about patience, how you develop patience that, which is antidote for, anger. So it's saying you don't get angry. But here there are few, let's say, things. For instance, according to how I understand in other books, then it goes a little bit like this. It says, do not, retaliate. If this is the right same thing, then it is do not retaliate. Actually, in Vinaya, the Buddha talks about, this is about, how to practice patience So not retaliating is one thing. So there are 4 kinds, which I'm going to share like in Vinaya. The first one, it says, don't answer back. We immediately answer back, so do not answer back. I remember in Shanti there was book, when it talks about, it's not about patience, but he talks about mindfulness. The line that he says that the best thing to do is to remain in silence. So here, when he says don't answer back, when someone says, hurtful things to you, instead of answering back, you remain silent. And you try to control your emotions. So don't retaliate from that first one. That is what it meant, don't answer back. Because it is, opposite of what we usually do. We retaliate physically, mentally, both. Even in our mind, retaliation happens by engaging. We experience emotions, and then we engage in these emotions, and because we engage and we respond mentally, they only grow. When they grow, we have more problem. It becomes stronger. So here, the way to help us with that is to not respond, to not engage in mind. And here, by not retaliating, but rather really trying to remain in silence, first one. The second, here, there are 4 kinds, says don't harm back. Oh no, I'm sorry. The other one is don't get angry back. This is according to Vinaya. Don't get angry back. Don't. So that one. Don't get angry back, meaning don't hate back. Maybe this word is better. And these are very good advice. We should, because these are against the commitment of the, bodhicitta, correct? Bodhicitta and hatred don't go hand in hand. It's actually opposite of that. So therefore, since I am a Lojong so now the thing is, I am a Lojong practitioner. What that meant is that then, I should not do I should change my mental attitude. I should change my normal way of thinking, my normal perspective. So otherwise, then how can I really develop patience or bodhicitta? This is patience, but also bodhicitta. So therefore, if someone hates you, don't hate back. Actually, there's no need to hate back, right? So this is what it meant, simply put. And then it says, don't harm back. These things will come up later on. This is our first thought. If someone harms me, we want to harm back. But if I'm practicing Lojong, then this is against the Lojong of the kindness or compassion. So therefore, I have to find a way to, not generate harmful thoughts towards others. Because what is the difference between me and them, in this case, if I experience harmful thoughts? So this is to say that we should really find a way to work with all the harmful thoughts towards other people. Oops. And then the fourth one is don't expose back, which actually we said before. Don't expose back as in like, again, these are, again it means, this generally meaning, do not wish or think of, talking about other people's fault, right? This is what they may be at fault, but I don't have to go ahead and tell other people, their shortcomings and their, let's say, their their negative behavior, we can say, or their behavior. So why? Because I am a Lojong practitioner, and therefore these are against the Lojong, practice. So this, in short, it actually is about that. Don't retaliate, but there are different ways how we retaliate, emotionally, physically, verbally. This is what it meant. Verbally, mentally, I should say, mentally, verbally, physically. We do not want to retaliate. And in this way, then it becomes a true sense of patience, right? How the patience is really developed and how bodhicitta, kindness, is really developed. Instead, actually, it should be reversed. Instead, then we should have, patience, we should have compassion to those people. Like Shantideva says, I'm going to say one time, then it'll be same. Like Shantideva, when he talks about patience, he says, don't get angry. Why? Because we should know that person who is angry at you. This person is driven by his emotion, is driven by his anger. Actually, this person is helpless in the hand of his emotion. It can be jealousy, it can be proud, it can be anger. So he may not intentionally really want to do that, but he has no control over his emotions, his confusion. So it is his confusion that is making him to do those things. And this is true, also to you, it's true to others. So if I at all want to get angry, I should get angry at the emotion, at the confusion. This is what Shantideva says. So anyhow, but to that person, we should have compassion, because that person was absolutely under the control of his emotion. And he, like us, was also suffering because of his or her own emotion. So these are the few things that, we as a practitioner need to keep in mind while practicing, patience. So anyway, I just brought it about since we talked about retaliation or that. Okay, so now we will move on. I have to read from here. Then don't wait in ambush or to ambush. Ambush. Okay. Where is that? Yeah? Did I skip something? Sorry. No, I think we didn't. That is. Oh, I didn't say the last one. Okay, the first one is, don't answer back. Second is don't hate back. Third is don't harm back. Fourth is don't expose back. So, okay, doke. Right. So ambush. I'm trying to find in. I guess it doesn't matter. I'll just. Yes. Don't wait to ambush. You can see this in this. Many of them in Tibetan language is actually, just metaphor. The meaning is altogether very different. It's like a saying. So like here it says, don't wait to ambush. One sec, because they are all mixed up. Right. Okay, now found it. So it means don't harbor thought of waiting for right moment to retaliate. Okay. It basically means don't harbor grudge. I think this example is like this, uh, from the right now you are not in a position to answer back, to retaliate, okay? So now you wait for this opportunity, to retaliate or to take revenge, actually, so to speak. Many a times people do that, no? Waiting to ambush, meaning you harbor this thought that, okay, I'm going to take revenge on him or on her, but I will wait for the right moment. You wait till the right moment. When the right moment comes, then you attack. It's very easy. So he said, don't do that. Again, this is against our own kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, so therefore don't do it. So this, in a way, these are all, like advice how to work with our emotions. You can see that. This is regarding anger, grudge, hatred, are very similar, you can see, right? It's actually also there is an anger. Because of that, you hold grudge. So you say, don't hold grudge. This really is a useless thing to hold grudge, the idea of taking revenge. And is it true if I say that, when we hold grudge, it is actually you who really, will be destroyed, actually. The thought of taking revenge really destroys you, actually, ruins you altogether, because you get too involved in these things, and all you're thinking is taking revenge, and then this way, then you very much destroy yourself, emotions. It's very unfortunate that's how sometimes, out of this hatred, you become so blind. Our emotions blind us. All you're thinking is to take revenge, And this really is, as we can see, is very, very harmful. The source of pain for you and for others. Probably you will suffer all your life because of that. So something we really don't want, actually, to anyone to happen. So it's a very good idea it's very important that we always pray, make good wishes, seek the blessings of our, Dharma, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, so that we don't go through that, actually, this kind of mental emotions. We don't want to be blinded by our emotions, really. We really need to make sure that we are not blinded by our emotions. Emotions very easily blind us, very, very easily. And then we do something that we regret, With emotions, we only do wrong things. No right things will come out of any kind of emotions. Emotions are just wrong, always wrong. You can never benefit. What can you benefit out of killing someone, actually, or hurting someone? It's a very stupid idea, generally speaking, but yet somehow, we have this. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say probably is that it's good idea from time to time to think the fault is probably not the right word, harmful nature of the emotions. How emotions are really, really very harmful to you, actually. Not only to others. It's one that can bring you the most harm, most pain, most suffering is our own emotion. The true enemy is my own mind, it's not other people, correct? For example, true enemy is my own hatred, my own anger, my own confusion. The rest of us, we are just conditions on the outside. But on the inside, the seed, true is my own inner emotions. So, therefore, it's very important to reflect on them from time to time, do self-reflections, take help of mindfulness and awareness, meditate, do Shine meditation as many times as you can, then yes, some help will be born within oneself. All right, let's. Okay, I'm going to move on. Never strike at heart. Okay, yes. I'm trying to find the Tibetan word. Yes, it actually does mean that. So it's very straightforward. Here it basically it means never think of harming other person, correct? Or hurting someone's feeling. Never do that. Never hurt anyone's feeling, especially in the sense there is this very specific meaning in here. Hurting is one thing, but hurting where it hurts the most. This is what it meant here, You understand what I'm saying, actually. This is what it meant. Many a times people, they want to hurt, and they're clever, So they think, okay, what is it that can hurt them the most? So they look for that, and then they attack. So don't do that, actually. Why, in the very first of all, why even hurt someone? Second of all, why do go to that degree, of thinking so much, all these things, and, what is the best way to, bring them the most hurt, I guess. So anyway, so don't do that. We see that it's like I said yesterday, I think, or somewhere. Remember, I told you the story of this guy who was reading a book and then he threw the book away because, he didn't like it, because he said that it's, speaking about all of my secrets. Secret is, all these emotions, the hatred that he had in him. So it's very much like this. Here, what is this Lojong things are saying here is about our emotions. We don't have to, it's nothing personal. We don't have to, let's say, we don't have to shy away from this. Why shy away from this? This is us. This is why we need Dharma, like I said many times. Actually, it is important for us to know this. Important to know what are the emotions and how they bring us harm, how they really, bring suffering. We need to know that, actually. So we don't want to shy away from that. Hiding them will not help, correct? Or keeping them secret also will not help. They need to be exposed to myself. This is the Lojong practice, actually. Not like you have to go and announce to the world about this. No, don't do that, actually. Here, when it says, I need all my emotions that are, secretly hiding in my heart, in my mind, they need to be, I need to expose them to myself so that, I can get rid of them, so that I know them very well, and then find a way to really, to get rid of them, to overcome them. We tend to do otherwise. We tend to, to cover them more and more and more, with many excuses. We try to cover them, cover more and cover more and cover more and cover more. So you say, don't do this. We want to uncover that, uncover them, so that we can get to the root of, that emotion, and then strike it, with meditation, with compassion, with kindness. then one can really, get rid of that. Okay, but not like we have to tell other people, no? So this is why self-reflection, like I was saying before, we meditate, and through meditation we try to, it's a little bit like, it's a little bit like saying we need to learn to read our mind more in depth, so that we can help ourselves. All right. So I will move on now. Right. Do not put on an ox load on a cow. It simply means don't blame others. Don't put your blame on others. Actually, I just will say that straightforward. So I told you it's very, very funny. In Tibetan, it's just an example, but it means we again tend to do that. No, this. We have this routine, mundane, mental habitual patterns. Like if I give my example of myself. So my mental habitual pattern that I am born is what he's saying. I always try to find a scapegoat to put all the blames on him or on her. It's my fault. So this is really mundane individual's mindset. So here, of course, with the practice of bodhicitta, with the Dharma, we're trying to change this routine, mundane mindset or mental habitual patterns. If we don't change our mind, if we don't change our, mental habitual patterns, then how are we going to change at all? The change is not a physical thing, right? When we say change. The change is we need to bring change in our perspective, in our mental attitude, in our view. So we can do that only, first I really need to understand my own mental patterns, habitual patterns. Many a times, or oftentimes, we lack that insight into my own habits. Let's just say habits, okay? So habit meaning mental habitual patterns. Many times people we just do it without knowing, correct? Many people have no idea actually at all. So here, the first thing we need to do is that we really need to look into our own mind, observe our own mind. I remember what Karmapa said yesterday. Anyways, so we do need to do that. I'm going to say we need to look inward, inwardly. I suppose the mind is somewhere inside us. So by that, then first thing is that is what probably I meant by saying these things that I have in my mind, secret mental habitual patterns that are unknown to me. Now, with the help of clarity, mindfulness, especially awareness, is exposed to me, meaning now I come to know that, my own mental habitual patterns. And then I come to know that, this is the reason why the way I behave. The way I behave is because of this. So now now you know that to change that behavior, you need to change this mental habitual patterns. Correct? Then yes, a true change can be brought about. So this is also what it meant here. I forgot what I was talking about, but yes. Because they all sound very similar to me, all of them. We say 1,000 things, but it sounds very similar to me. So the yes. Yeah, so this habit, like it says, how do you like translate my laugh? They're translating literally. You have to translate my laugh by laughing, not with a word. No? Sorry. See what happens when we lack mindfulness, Oh, all right. So, yes, this is a. No, really, sometimes there are people, I'm saying people, it could be me, we sort of enjoy, by doing these things, by by putting your blame on other people, your shortcomings. Actually, you're trying to hide it. You are a very weak person, but you want to, appear as a very strong person. So it's very, silly thing, but we do these silly things. And actually, it's not just out of fun. Here, I think it is also, out of ego, out of hatred, out of anger, jealousy, probably jealousy. You try to, let's say, put your blame on other people. All right, this is so. So yes, I need to, to change this habit. Then I need to understand my own mental behavior. This was the point, actually. All right. So we'll not go too much into that because it will take a lot of time. Now I'm going to read the verse after that. Oops. Yes. Do not aim to be best. Right. According to Tibetan, if I understand it correctly, then the word actually, it's again a metaphor. It's saying, do not race. So this, then it has many metaphors. When you become very competitive, of course, then so in the Dharma practice, generally, there are many things actually here. First, it means don't be competitive. In the sense like, don't compete with others. From the Dharma point of view, from the Bodhili point of view, it's different. But from the Dharma point of view, first of all, I'm practicing this Dharma so that I can, tame my mind, so that I can really, help myself with my emotions, right? This is the reason. So there's no reason for me to compete with other people. So raise from that point. Oftentimes people tend to do that, so two people doing Ngondo practice, then I'll I want to finish Ngondo before he or she finishes. This kind of thing. And so we tend to become very competitive, whether it is in the business or in Dharma. If you then the whole practice will be, will become diluted, unfortunately, because of your mind. It could be because of jealous, or pride. I don't know which one is that. It depends. Probably pride, I want to be the first to finish the Ngondo. 4 people doing it, So I want to be the first one. I want to come first from the Dharma point of view. In Dharma, there is no such thing as first, second, third. But this advice is very good because it helps us to understand that my ego, that I have this ego and my ego is ruining my practice. And I have to leave aside my ego, my arrogance, my pride. This is the advice here, This sense of I am better than other, Also in the Lojong practice, you could think that way, or in the meditation. He is in the very beginning stages of meditation. He's just doing Shine. I'm in the Mahamudra. Actually, nobody is in the Mahamudra, to be very honest. But no, I'm here, just there, like really, really there, It's very cute and very silly, Both are on the same level, on the level of no ground. There is no ground. There is no Shine, there is no Lakna, there is no Mahamudra. But the ego says, no, I am here. It's there. We are very, it's not being innocent only, being silly. So anyhow, but it's very good advice from the Dharma, generally Dharma point of view, really. In Dharma, there's no room for such thing. There's no room for, we should not keep any room for pride, ego, and jealousy, right, at all. So this means, in other words, it's like we need to work with our ego. If you see ego in you, okay, that's fine, because we are human. So it's very natural for you to have ego or to have jealousy, that's fine. But thing is that you recognize that, and then you regret that, and then you do something about our ego, our pride. This is, what it meant. Always want to, the way to advance in meditation, the way we advance in Lojong practice is by observing our mind, our thought, like I said before. We want to really understand our own mental habitual patterns. Dharma mental habitual patterns, When we look at them, then we'll be able to know what is it that I need to improve, what are the things that I need to, clean, remove. Then, of course, we need that clarity. Of course, there are these, good qualities that I need to support, that I need to really advance in. And then, of course, there are all these other things that I really need to reduce, I need to subdue. So this can happen only when I look into my own mind, correct? In this mind. So again, that is very powerful mindful practice. Okay, so don't race, don't be competitive. In short, it means Dharma point of view, ego is unnecessary, pride is unnecessary, not unnecessary, they are actually obstacle. If I have ego, if I have, what was the other word? Pride, that's actually same, no? They will create the obstacle on my path and they will refrain me from experiencing realization and meditation, and it's true. So I need to know this, and then I have to leave aside, my ego, or just ignore my ego altogether. We need to learn to do that. Okay. All right, let's move on. Oops. Then, do not misuse the remedy. Do not misuse the remedy. Oops. I see. Do not misuse the remedy. Actually, it means do not, misuse dharma. This is from the spiritual materialism point of view. It can really happen that one may start out as a very genuine Dharma practitioner, like I think I said yesterday. Somehow along the path, then we develop this spiritual materialism. Spiritual materialism in the sense like then, somehow we run after, fame, we run after wealth, and then we run after these things actually mainly, and followers, I should say, followers. And so here is when it's actually misuse the Dharma, meaning one need to be very careful that it doesn't become a spiritual materialism, so to speak. Misuse Dharma also, right? Misusing Dharma, using Dharma for wrong reasons. If we look around us, there are many people who really, use Dharma for many, many wrong reasons. To gain fame, to gain followers, to gain praise, just mainly all the mundane things in the name of the Dharma. So that is absolutely wrong. This is especially with, like monks and nuns and, us actually, I'm thinking. And also in generally, Dharma teachers, who have the name called teacher, Dharma teacher, Khenpo, Lama, all these other things, that names. These names can give you or cause you ego. Many a times, this name, title I should say, not name, like title. It's also a little bit, silly that you want this title. There are some people who really is so much into these titles. You cannot short their name. Their name is like this big. So you have to say all of this. Doctor, something, something, then A, E, B, B. You have many titles, like in Western world, you have PhD stuffs like this, or you have to say all of them. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. It's like one whole book. They're very attached to that title, It's about this also here, like, of course, lamas, khenpos, rinpoches, teachers, these titles. We run after titles, they run after It's strange, The followers also, run after the name, the title. If someone is famous, we run after that without thinking anyway, so these kind of things. So we need to hear in the Dharma, then it's about really the quality in the practitioner, quality in the teacher, quality in the Dharma itself, so and we have to focus on those things instead of focusing on, on other things. I think many a time people do that, meaning it's also very silly, but really you want people to know that, you are part of this event, to boost your ego. Oh yes, in terms of these other things. So here, this is actually more about that we need to really be very mindful of these kind of attitudes and, try try not to get too engaged or too involved in this superficial thing. These are very superficial, as we understand. Not going to help, very superficial, so we don't want to do that. Yeah, there. So yes, mainly don't use Dharma for wrong reasons. This actually means Dharma for wrong reasons also could be, oh yes, now you can see spiritual materialism, right? Spiritual. There's a book by Trungpa Rinpoche, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. Actually, I just remembered that. I didn't read the whole book, but I really liked the title. First when I saw the title, I had no idea what that meant, but it sounded very good. Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. I picked up the book, I read through it, and then I understood what it really meant. And then it became very profound to me. Like, wow, that's really very profound. As a practitioner, myself, I need to be exposed to those things, really, so that I can understand, where I'm going wrong. I need someone to point out my wrongdoings, If I have none, this is what the teacher is for. This is what the Lama is for, right? Actually, that is what the Lama is for. In reality, Lama will tell you, will help us to understand where we are going wrong in our practice. So when we say where we are going wrong in our practice, means mistakes that we make on our path. And we make mistakes. It's not a big deal. But it's so important to know what was that mistake and why I made that mistake, so that I won't repeat it. This way, then we'll, get rid of these mistakes. Mistake after mistake after mistake, or wrong after wrong after wrong. We understand them, we refrain from doing that, and then we do less and less mistakes. We commit less and less and less mistakes. Then improvement is coming about. So either it is the Dharma of the teacher or your own friend who is on the same level as you. Usually we need someone who is more advanced than me, so that they can see, my mistakes in me, right? So therefore, we depend on them. It can be your friend to each other, but we need them, really. So we need them, to tell us our mistakes, and they become our guru. In generally speaking, they become your enemy, like early on. So in Dharma, the enemy is the best friend, because they are the one who is telling you have so much anger in you, or you have so much ego in you. So actually they are the one who is exposing you or revealing your own, let's say, emotions. Anyways, so things like that. Right. Okay. Oops. Where's the root text? Thank you. Yeah. Right. Okay. Do not use gods for evils. It means don't turn God into demons. It's actually again saying, you can see that. Don't turn the God into demons. Metaphor. This is a metaphor. God is metaphor for a good human being, good qualities. And demon, of course, a bad person. So here, God is, metaphorically, God refers to bodhicitta, correct? Our own bodhicitta. And the demon refers to our ego clinging. This actually is very simple from that point of view. So, again, it means that it's speaking about the danger of ego. That what can ego do? That ego can destroy all of our good qualities. Like Shantideva says, but that actually according to him it is anger. Like this in the 6th chapter, Patience, he says that anger can destroy the accumulation of merit of many, many kalpas, in a second. Likewise, ego can also destroy, our merit, our good qualities in us. So therefore, you may have all these, good qualities in you, but then, when we experience ego more and more, and when your ego overtakes your good quality, then of course, all of your goodness in you disappears. This we see in people too, like I gave this example before too. At first, in the very beginning, he is very simple, very good person. Somehow along the path, ego kicks in due to many reasons, and then this ego grows and grows and grows. When the ego grows, then all the other good qualities in you are reduced and reduced and reduced, So it's about, first we need to know this. This meaning that that bodhicitta is the source of all the goodness in the world and beyond the world, correct? Happiness, joy is source of that. Now we know this. And on the other hand, we have ego. This is not ego clinging from that, but ego, really the pride in you, the sense of superiority in you, that ego, so this ego. So on the other hand, we have this ego. This ego, like I said before, that really closes all the doors of the goodness in you. You become this very, I guess we can say very bad person, Probably to him or to her, they're just doing their job, probably, right? But nonetheless, due to this ego in them, then ego will cost you your friendship, ego will cost you your relationship, right? Actually, most of the time it's due to the ego. The clashes of, actually it's clashes of the ego. That probably we all know very well, also you guys. So clashes of the ego is a very good word here. Imagine if there were no ego, there's no clash. And if there's no clash, what is there? Only friendship. right? Only friendship. Now there is a friendship, but somewhere down the line, then this ego comes in between this friendship or relationship. And then slowly crack, small crack. And then this crack becomes bigger. And then boom, all gone. The window is all gone. First there is small crack, You didn't take care of that. You could have taken care of that. And then the window didn't need to break. No. Like this. So like this actually, that whether it is in, Dharma or in world, ego really is the source of, destruction, right? Destruction. It's never good. So this is the advice that I need from time to time. I need to really check in on my ego, how it is doing, so to speak, and I need to find a way to calm it, find a way to, settle my ego the best way possible, mainly by understanding that how much harm ego can bring us. That actually is the way to do that. And then it's reversed with the kindness, compassion, wisdom is reversed. Meaning conversely, we understand the benefit of kindness, compassion, love. Because they keep everything together. Then the one that keeps everything together is the love, correct? The love. The kindness, the compassion. Keeps together. Ego breaks it. So now, you have to pick which one you want. One that breaks you or one that keeps you together, so to speak. Anyway, but this is true. So I think we all know that. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, I've read it, but I'm not very happy with this English translation actually. Do not, be like, it's reversed again. All right, this is good. Be like humble servant before all. Mm-hmm. This again is very easy to understand from the Bodhisattva's point of view. Bodhicitta meaning what? Bodhicitta meaning working for the benefit of all sentient beings. So therefore, this what it says here is, very simple, meaning straightforward. My aim is to really work for the benefit of all living beings timelessly. Regardless of the situations, I will work for the benefit of the sentient being, that mind. So therefore, in this case, then we do become like a servant, a very good, humble servant. I'm servant to sentient beings, bodhisattvas, I'm serving the sentient beings. So that actually is very simple. All right, now we move on to this next one. Don't delight in the suffering of others. Okay. This again, probably we want to talk a little bit more in detail. It means don't take advantage of other people first actually. And then also it means, means don't enjoy at the expense of others. So these are very straightforward English words, actually. And don't take the benefit of other people's situation, advantage of other people's situation. Now I think, okay, so there, again, it is one of the habit, in human beings, and that we really need to change in order to bring about compassion and kindness in us. We understand that, people have this habit. Many people are always looking for this opportunity to take, advantage of other people's situation. There are many of them. So don't be like that, actually. Many things don't be like that. Because those people who have this kind of mindset, who likes to take advantage of other people, these people are self-centered people. We can say these are the people who really lack, humility, absolutely humility. Especially when they try to take advantage of, people who are going through difficult times and people who are going through suffering, then that in this case, really there is no humanity in the mind of that person, no humility at all. So that goes to show what kind of person you are actually. You are actually a horrible person. We really don't want to be a horrible person, and this is a horrible thing to do, to take advantage of someone who is going through that suffering and pain, This is not against Dharma, but this is against humanity, correct? Against humanity. We need to change this kind of mindset. So this Lojong practice here from, now you can see, is very, very powerful. All of them at the, in essence, they are really talking about, that we need to work with our emotions, different kinds of negative emotions. So this attachment, jealousy, pride, ego, ignorance, all that, right? This is what we are learning from here. Then we need to understand them, reflect on them, and then take refuge in mindfulness and awareness, take help of that, and, by meditating actually. So yeah, it's very straightforward, but also something that we want to remember that, okay, I don't want to, have this habit of taking advantage of other people's situation. Again, very straightforward. All right, moving on. Oh, there is no moving on. That is the end of this point, which is the point 6. All right. Okay, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so here 16, generally, in some the numbers are more, but 16, what was that? Commitment of the Lojong, okay? A Samaya of the Lojong. Okay, now we'll move on to this 7th point. And the 7th point is, discipline regarding the mind training teachings. They are very similar, actually. They are very similar. Number 1, it says practice all yogas in one way. It's a very good advice, meaning whatever activity I may be engaging in, never forget bodhicitta. Generally in not Abhidharma, in Vinaya, Buddha talks about 4 activities. While eating, while walking, while sleeping, while sitting. These are the 4 activities he talks about. During all these situations, one always keep up with one's bodhicitta. One, never forget bodhicitta during this time, so to speak. Also in Vinaya, this also was about mindfulness, now that I remember. But it is both. Here, this is about bodhicitta. In short, it means from the practice point of view, at the beginning, we begin by cultivating bodhicitta, correct? And in the middle, while practicing, we also want to maintain that bodhicitta. And in the end, when we dedicate, we also dedicate that with bodhicitta. So therefore, like it says in the Buddha's teaching, that in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, we must, involve bodhicitta all the time in our practice. When we do Guru Yoga practice, Yidam practice, these are always there, the initial stage, the actual stage, the conclusion stage. This is what we are talking about. In all the meditation, one thing that really remains common is the mind of the bodhicitta. Now here it's about, also bodhicitta while, let's see, while traveling, we always want to be mindful of kindness, want to be mindful of compassion. Mainly this is the advice, okay? And especially when we are in the crowd, this is when we really want to be double mindful of our behavior, especially the behavior of the body and the speech. And we try to really, keep up our mind, keep up the mental attitude of the bodhicitta and mindfulness. So yes, this is what it meant. In all situations, we try to remember, this is maybe a better word, try to remember Dharma. I'd like to think Dharma generally, really. I always say Dharma because it includes everything. Or I want to remind myself that I'm a Buddhist. What that meant is that I am a Dharma practitioner. It's very important for me to remind myself who I am, what I am, that I am a Buddhist. That means I'm a Dharma practitioner, So when we remind ourselves of our practice, of our path, then our memory of the Dharma memory of the practice will come about. And they are going to help us. So that's the first one. So this is the discipline. Excuse me. Reading on. Subdue all obstacles by one method. Very similar, actually. Yes, so it means that as long as we take refuge in bodhicitta, then the bodhicitta will take care of the rest, is what it meant. So therefore, we should not forget to take refuge in the bodhicitta. exactly similar actually, meaning we must not forget bodhicitta. We must remember bodhicitta, right? Or kindness, we can say, but bodhicitta, I don't like to use the word bodhicitta here. Like I said, we usually say dharma actually, bodhicitta of dharma, you know. There is only one solution really, or one antidote, or one help. And that one help is Buddha Dharma, without any doubt. In samsara and beyond samsara, one that can truly help me is none other than the Buddha Dharma. So there's only one thing and one thing only that I need to depend on, take refuge in, and that is the Buddha Dharma. So that's also what it meant here, that we should do that. Moving on. That was number 2, now the number 3. 2 actions to perform at the beginning, at the end. Now probably you figure it out already, you know. So when we start out practicing our practices with the mind of the bodhicitta, right? And in the end, one thing that we really don't want to forget is to dedicate that merit. So it's actually these 2. Like I think I mentioned this also, yesterday or day before yesterday, that these 2 are very important. The cultivating of the bodhicitta. Also it could be, not only bodhicitta, but refuge and bodhicitta. When we say bodhicitta, cultivate bodhicitta, refuge is, included. Also in the refuge, bodhicitta is included. Okay, so that, of course. And then in the end, to dedicate this merit for all sentient beings, to dedicate this merit, to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? So that. These are simple advices. That was the third, number 3, and the number 4. Be patient with whichever of the 2 arises. So, yes, it actually means my day starts, when I wake up, correct? That is when my day starts. I start out my day by cultivating bodhicitta, and then I close my day by going to sleep. When I go to sleep, I also, let's say, close my day or end my day in bodhicitta. This is simply what it meant, since this is about the bodhicitta. In short, it kind of means around the clock, right? We try to remember, we try to maintain the, bodhicitta all the time. But especially really when we wake up, first thing that we try to do is, take refuge and cultivate bodhicitta. This is very, very good advice. Sit down, just do the refuge, bodhicitta. And in the evening when we go to sleep, again, take refuge and cultivate bodhicitta. And, so then you start, it's like it is like how you start our day and how we start our evening, or we can say sleep. It is almost like this. I start my day by engaging in bodhicitta. Then before I go to sleep, again I cultivate bodhicitta. This means then that's how I'm going to, it's the start of my night, correct? Start of my night, so to speak, and idea-wise. Guard the two even at the cost of your life. Yes. Yes. It basically, we had gone through this many times, meaning that regardless of the situation, whether it is a very painful situation or whether it is a very joyful situation, I should never stop practicing. This is simply what it meant actually. We have gone through many times. So therefore, patience from that point of view. As a bodhisattva, this is really how they do, how they practice. Meaning that their practice do not depend on the circumstances, on the situations that they face. Therefore, no matter what the situation may be, the situation doesn't affect them from practicing, I should say, right? So this is how it should be also with us as well, is what he's saying, right? All right, I think so. We will stop here for today. I'll take a few questions and then we will complete it tomorrow, the remaining part.
Thank you, Khenpo, for the teaching. I have a question regarding the line, do not aim to be the best or do not race. And I don't know, it's just in my mind because you said that it can be the difficulty of wanting to be the best and also following the titles and the glory or so on. And I just want to kind of understand, why do we, in our spiritual tradition, why do we keep with the titles and the like, this should be this seat, this should be that seat, this should be higher, this should be lower. I understand, because it's obvious, it's natural that as a practitioner you want to put your guru as high as possible, but at the same time it creates this sort of this following, you kind of want to have the best guru, or you want to, I just want to understand, why do we have it embowed in our spiritual tradition, this like hierarchy?
Okay. I want to think that, there is an influence, of Chinese tradition back in Tibet, because Buddha came in Tibet. I'm not saying from negative point of view, actually. I'm thinking all this began with a very good motivation, actually. Like king is the most, revered individual. So therefore, they want to pay respect to the Lama, to the teacher, and that's how it began, actually, so to speak, right? So it all began with very good motivation, without any doubt, I'm thinking, and hope I'm right. But it is true, along the path, then it got changed, actually. Not because lamas changed, but because, there are many reasons I would like to believe, probably there was a requirement for that. Not in terms of ego or anything, but, from the point of view of not hierarchy, but from the point of view of, let's say, respect, actually. Like I will not sit, higher than, my teacher, no matter the condition, so like this. And so due to that, then it all, but also it's a tradition. Actually, it doesn't have to do so much with the Dharma practice, but it is more of now it's a tradition in Tibet and in the monasteries where we have this, let's say, different thrones, we could say, for different teachers. So that actually has got really nothing to do with Dharma itself. 100%. The tradition here, we want to separate our, let's say, tradition from the Dharma. Dharma and tradition are absolutely two different things, correct? So therefore, one that we are talking about is a tradition. Yes, but it is true. And as far as ego and all these are concerned, then that is something that no one can control except yourself, meaning when you are given a title or something, what you do with this title, so to speak, generally I don't think you have to do anything with the title, but in terms of your own, let's say, experience, your own thought regarding that title. That's where individual, what you do with that title, for example, something that no one can control, meaning one can very much it's about position, actually. Let's say title or position, one can misuse the position, depending on, on what kind of person you are, or you can very much use that position to help others. So these are very individual decision, right? Not something that we can control. And it has got nothing to do with traditions or with, with thrones and all these things.
Yeah, Khenpo, there was one thing I wonder if there is a contradiction, because I think it was on page 140. Yeah, there's a sentence, whatever the faults of others may be, do not contemplate them. Yeah. Later on, what I heard was that we also should sometimes talk to, I think, only Dharma friends, not all friends, Dharma friends, where they might be wrong. So
yeah, these are two very different things. First one is about, talk. The second one is, with the mind of helping each other. We are not trying to find their wrong to, abuse them. Actually, we are trying to help them by pointing out, so this is actually a way of helping, right? And then the motivation behind that is, kindness, we can say, wisdom. But the motivation in the other one where, is not that. It is not to help, but rather to really humiliate them. So this is absolutely different. In the second, it's not about humiliating, but it's rather about, really helping them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Khenpo. So in Shamar Rinpoche's book, in this seventh point, the paragraph about be patient with whichever of the two arises, I'm seeing him mentioning like the two conditions being positive and negative, with which we're supposed to be patient, I think. And I don't think you mentioned that in your talk, so could you please comment on that?
Okay. Actually, I said the same thing. I said, regardless of what the situation is, whether it is a joyful situation or painful situation, it's the same line. Same thing.
Okay, I think when you were talking about that, you mentioned bodhicitta and like returning to it in the start of the day and in the end of the day, and I'm kind of confused about how those are related.
Those what are related?
The positive and negative conditions and remembering bodhicitta.
Okay. It's actually very simple. It just means that, we practice bodhicitta regardless of the situation. This is what it means directly. There is no hidden meaning behind that, okay? Whether you are happy, whether you are sad, whatever it may be, one, regardless of the situation, one don't stop practicing Dharma, let's say. This is the first line. In the second one, it just means we always want to remember it. We always want to remember Dharma or bodhicitta, regardless of the time. It here may say like in the, you start and you finish, but it basically meaning it's important to remember Buddha Dharma, it's important to remember bodhicitta, around the clock, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Tashidile Khenpo, I wanted to ask again about the daily practice and the connection between Lojong and Nonro. Do they go in parallel, or are they integrated into one another, or what is the relationship between them in terms of
They are integrated into each other. Lojong, everything is Lojong, like for the four preliminaries, both the common and uncommon preliminaries. Okay, first, Lojong. Like I said many times here, it mainly means, bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. So as a Mahayana, then, every practice that we do, must be supported by bodhicitta, meaning the base of our practice always should be bodhicitta, correct? So it is, and then also in general, then yes, in Ngondo, whether it is a Ngondo practice of the, common or uncommon, we always must implement every dharma, knowledge, wisdom, insight, however little we may have, we try to implement them in our practice, everyday life, right? So yes, it is to implement them in our practice.
Khenpo, how to transform parenting into a path of dharma?
I'm sorry, how to transform?
Transform parenting, growing children.
Understood. Into?
Path of dharma. How to integrate
Dharma, you mean?
Dharma in the
Parenting itself is dharma, my friend. No, really, you need so much compassion, you need so much love, and you need so much patience. Best dharma practice is parenting. Yeah. No, honestly, it's an honest teaching. Actually, I think, I don't know, I'm not a father, but I'm thinking that, that your own kids actually help you to, help you more than you help them. Yes, you help them with money and food and all that, but otherwise emotionally, so to speak, or mentally, I shouldn't say emotionally, anyways. No, so it is very good dharma practice. Okay, I think I'm going to stop now. Sunam dea tamche zikpa nye, tona nye pe dana pamche. Je gaya na je balaya tupa ye, sebe anzole ndowa dowa re sho. Gewan diye kiwo kun sunam ye she zoto. Sunam ye she le chongwa tamba kunye topare sho. Minjara lombo kuye ta shi sho, yen la ye tukcho sungye ta shi sho. Tada teme tukche ta shi sho, gyalve kusong tukche ta shi sho. Changcho semcho rimbo che ma che pa nam che churu. Che pa nyamba me pa tang kong ne kong to pelwa re sho. Thank you. Have a nice lunch.
Daniel, can I ask you for the same thing? Thank you. Dear friends, first question, if you left any